What's up? It's another episode of Watch You Strappin. These are not watch reviews. They're just quick wristwatch check of the day whenever I get a chance, just to show off a strap pairing with a particular watch. And today I'm still on a recent acquisition to my collection. This is the Vertex M100A, and it's a really cool military field watch inspired by the Dirty Dozen style of World War II. And this is one of the original brands that made, of the original 12 that made the original Dirty Dozen watch. That didn't come out too smoothly, but you get what I'm saying. And it's probably my favorite iteration of all the Dirty Dozen watches that you can get out there, and whether it's actually an actual heritage brand or one of the many micro brands that have kind of hopped on board and doing something similar, but they focus mostly on the more vintage style at maybe keeping closer to 36 millimeters. Some of them maybe even larger, but generally their style, the dials and the general dial and handset, the way they do it, it's more in line with the vintage style. Versus this, I think it's the only one that's done like a very tasteful and cool modern iteration of such a watch design. And that's the one I gravitate to the most. It happens to be probably the most priciest of all of them. But oh well, that's all I can say. If you, for me, if I like a watch and there's no other way around it, it's just gonna be from a particular brand and cost a certain amount. Well, I guess either I do it or I should just forget it and not bitch too much about it because there's nothing I can do and move on, right? That's all you can say. 'Cause that's all I would say. But since I think this is something that's been worth it to me, I've been wanting this, and they finally actually made it available for people that are not necessarily enlisted in the military to be able to buy one. That's kind of one of the stipulations, I think, in the past to get the M100 models. I think they're Sea Lion and maybe their chronograph, the M45. I think that's what the other one's called, the mono pusher. That one's pretty cool too. I don't think they had to have like a some sort of military background to get that, but this before they did. But since I think at least they moved this to an automatic, which this is an automatic now, it was all manual one before. It doesn't seem like that's to be the case anymore, which is great. Anyways, enough of that. I have this. I had it on the admiralty gray NATO strap that it came with, and today I have it on its other strap option. This is a black leather strap. Actually, you can't see it, but the inside has a nice red lining on the interior. But it's pretty good quality, and definitely changes the look of the watch. Just wanted to see how, without the NATO layers, how does the watch actually lay and sit on wrist. I think overall pretty good. My wrist is just about 7 inches. I think I'd say it's closer to a 6.9, but there you have it. And yeah, I think it works pretty well. It's probably seeing just a tad up the arm this way more than it should, but anyways, this is how it looks on wrist. Usually I try to, some people say I get too close, but I try to shoot with a tele side of a focal length because it has less distortion and generally looks better, versus if you go closer with a wide angle lens, even from further away, it generally distorts the proportions of the watch on wrist. And that's what I've always been doing. It's something that, I used to take professional photography, like portraits, and you really don't want to shoot with a wide angle lens. For most people, you don't want them to gain even more weight on a film or just in images. And same goes for products. It goes for such as watches, even cars. They look a lot better if you're not dealing with, for the most part, wide angles. And it took me a while to figure out, why does it look certain way in photos. And when I figured that out, everything started to look better. And so I would recommend that. Anyways, yeah, so this definitely gives a different look to the watch. I think it's pretty clean and classic. Just a simple black stitch leather strap. In a way, for a quick moment when I look at it, It kind of reminds me of, like, say, the Hamilton khaki, the Murph, that model. It has a particular style of indexes that are a little bit, I would say, bigger or wider than maybe some of the other khaki like field watch models. Yes, that does not have a small seconds, and there's some other number of differences. But just from a quick distance look at it, and with the case and everything, especially on the black leather strap, it just kind of gives me that a bit of that feel. But first thing, I like this more. I don't really care for cathedral hands, which is on the Murph. But overall, the rest of that watch is pretty handsome and fairly priced. And I do appreciate that they went down to a 38 millimeter as another size option over the original 42, which I know is more screen accurate, but it does seem to wear and look quite a bit large with how big the dial is compared to the case, and especially the lug to lug seems a bit wide or long, and on skinny or 7-inch wrists at least and lower, it would be a little too dominant in my opinion. And then the 38 is definitely welcomed, and I almost got one for one, but I don't know. I felt like the hype for that kind of just died a while back when they didn't have that sizing offering, and I felt that the pricing that they had back then was a little bit pricey. But then again, this thing ain't cheap either. But there isn't anything quite like this. I mean, I'm just gonna go up and you can see just the way they do those numerals, um, how they're 3D like applied, like really they got a lot of, I'm trying to focus on this. They got like a lot of you know, dimensionality to them. And that's one of the coolest things about it. And this thing looms like a mother. And and overall it's super legible. I like, that the numbers are larger than probably they might have been on the original Dirty Dozen watch. And that's fine. I'm not looking for a one-to-one recreation, reissue of the vintage models actually. Those are cool, but I think for me I kind of digging this modern take on it more. And the dial is pretty nice otherwise. It's like it's supposed to be black, but in certain lighting it's got this satin finish or something. It just makes it look lighter than black, especially when it sort of compared to maybe the strap. I don't know. It almost turns into a dark gray, but overall this look is cool. Anyways, that's about it. Thanks for watching and see ya next time.